Hi there. Now, someone asked me the other day, what made you switch your perception of the food industry? Because the fact is that I used to love the food industry. You know, chemically modified food additives were my life. It was my job to promote them, and I did it with great relish. So initially working for the food ingredient sector and then later on for consumer food products. And I just thought it was the most dynamic, clever, innovative industry. And I could talk about it all day long, even when I wasn't at work, because I was just that enthusiastic about it. And I remember precisely when the scales started to fall from my eyes and I started to think a bit differently about what was going on. It was when the drink Sunny Delight suddenly exploded onto the market, and it came just out of nowhere and very quickly became, I think, the UK's best-selling drink, with the help of in excess of £9 million budget that Procter & Gamble threw at promoting it. And I remember picking up the bottle the first time I saw it and looking at the label and just being flabbergasted because it was kind of promoted as being orange juice, and that's what the perception that people took away. And in fact, it was actually only 5% juice. And the rest of it was just a hideous cocktail of sugar and sweeteners and thickeners and all sorts of highly unnatural things. It was just a vile concoction, and yet people bought it in their millions. And of course kids loved it because it had as much sugar as a Coca-Cola, so it tasted very sweet. And their parents were quite happy to buy it because they believed that it was something healthy that was actually good for their kids. And I remember even my sister, who's a very bright lady, I remember opening her fridge back in the 1990s and it was full of Sunny Delight, and I'd be berating her and saying, it's not juice. But her kids were addicted to it, everyone else's kids were addicted to it. And I also remember very clearly one day when I took my son Max, who's now 19, so it was way back, he was very little, he was just learning to speak, he could only say a few words. And we went into the supermarket, and right in the fruit and vegetable section, so by the actual oranges, there was a branded fridge cabinet that was chock full of Sunny Delight, because that's what you can do when you're Procter & Gamble. You can pay to have your products right there by the entrance, by the fruit. And Max looked at it and he got very excited and pointed and went, juice, juice. And I remember barking at this poor little child and saying, it's not juice, it's not juice, because I was so irritated that this marketing was so pervasive that you know, it spoke even to the tiny children who couldn't yet read, but they picked up on these visual cues and interpreted it as juice. So Procter & Gamble put these meaningless but very evocative terms on the bottle, like Florida style and California style, and people just fell for it. I also remember a doctor friend of mine telling me at the time that she would get a lot of children coming into hospital in great distress because they were chronically constipated and in a lot of pain. And the first thing she would ask their parents would be, are you giving them fruit? And they would say, absolutely, they're having Sunny Delight every day. And this was the scale of the deception, because make no mistake, this was a huge, very successful marketing scam. Children were drinking this by the gallon, to the point that many of them started turning yellow from all the junk that was put in this drink. And that was when I first began to open my eyes and think to myself that this was just not okay. This was just not right to deceive people into consuming something on the basis that it was supposedly healthy that was actually harming them. And millions of people had this every day, and it was particularly children who suffered from it. Now, fortunately, Sunny Delight did eventually fall from grace when it came to light that in terms of the public arena, that this wasn't actually orange juice. But all of these years later, the fact is there are still hundreds of food products in your local supermarket that are being promoted to you as healthy and which are anything but. So my message to you today is that the food industry, and I'm sorry to break this to you, but the food industry's priority is not your health. So you need to take back responsibility for your own health, because the food industry is not going to take care of it for you. And this is such a crucial message for everyone to know, so please do pass it on to your family and friends. Thank you for watching. Bye.